not select a vice president, so at this time, we'll continue, we'll try that once more, and hopefully we'll be successful this evening. So I'll first go over the bylaw, so that if the board will pay attention, this is the process. Pursuant to the West New York Board of Education Bylaw 0152, board officers, the Board of Education shall organize by electing one of its members as president and another member as vice president. Any member may place a member's name in nomination. A second is not required. Elections for each office will be conducted by a roll call vote, and the nominations for that office are closed. The candidate receiving the votes of a majority of the board members will be elected to the office. In the event no candidate receives a majority of the votes cast, a second election shall be conducted between the two candidates receiving the highest number of votes. Voting shall take place by verbal roll call. So with that in mind, I guess if the board members, I'll walk you again through this process of selecting a vice president. So the first motion is just to start the process. So it's a motion to open nominations for the position of president of the Board of Education. So may I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second? President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Trustee Gassadui?
Yes.
Trustee Alam?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Okay, so the process is underway. At this point, I'd like to accept nominations for the position of Vice President. So if any board member would like to nominate themselves or appear, please speak up.
I would like to nominate Dr. Pizzatelli.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Victor.
Okay, are there any other nominations? All right, at this point, seeing no other nominations, I'd like to have a motion to close the nominations of Vice President.
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Alam? Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Gassadui?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
Okay, so the nominations are closed, and at this point, I'll call your name and tell us identify who you are voting for. Trustee Acosta?
Leader.
Trustee Alam? Trustee Duval?
Dr. Pizzatelli.
Trustee Gassadui, I'm sorry.
Dr. Pizzatelli.
Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Myself.
President Reyes? We're tied again. Okay. We need to go back through the process one more time, because it has to be done 2 times according to the board policy. So at this time again, I will open, I'd like to have a motion to open the nominations, or to reopen the nominations. May I have a second?
Second.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Gassadui?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli? Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Myself.
Just to open, or just to do the process again. So your vote is yes?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Trustee Duval?
Yes.
Trustee Alam?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Okay. At this point, I'll ask the board to if anyone would like to nominate someone, to please just speak up. Who you would like to nominate.
I would like to nominate Dr. Pizzatelli.
Are there any other nominations?
Trustee Acosta.
Are there any other nominations?
Another nomination. Read.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'd like to have a motion to reclose
Motion.
the nominations. And may I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Gassadui? This is just to close the nominations.
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Alam? Trustee Duval? Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
At this point, when I call your name, please tell me who your vote is for. Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Tell me
You
who
voted for
you-
Rita or Christine? Rita or Christine? No, Rita.
Trustee Alon? Trustee Duval? Trustee Gassidou?
Dr. Piscitelli.
Trustee Dr. Bizzatelli?
Myself.
President Reyes? The vote is tied again. According to statute, will be presented to the county superintendent. Okay. At this point, I have no other communications for the board. I'll turn the meeting over to the superintendent for the superintendent's report.
I just have all my records are on file, attendance, medical, and so forth. Enrollment is growing at a pretty rapid pace. We're probably about 400 over from last year. This evening, we were supposed to hear from our auditors about our recent audit. Unfortunately, she was going to give a report, but was not able to come tonight. So she'll be coming in a future board meeting to present the audit findings. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact myself or Kevin until at such time as the audit is presented to the public and to the board. Thank you.
Also this evening, we have the first reading of policy 5430. It's class ranking policy. And if the board members have any questions, feel free to contact the superintendent. That will be on the agenda next month for a second reading and adoption. At this point, we'd like to open the meeting for public comment. In accordance with West New York Board of Education Bylaw 0167, public participation in board meetings adopted April 22nd, 2009. Each participant should be limited to 3 minutes in duration. Since we have a full agenda, the board needs to interview 11 candidates. We're going to try to stick to the 3-minute limitation this evening. I would appreciate everyone's assistance in accomplishing that task. Thank you. If anyone would like to address the board, please approach the microphone and state your name for the record. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board?
Hi, Wayne Cook, 6131 Gadsden Street, apartment 2, West New York. Again, it's the same old political stuff. You guys can't make a decision. I mean, you got 6-6 up there. Because of politics, again, and the influence of the town mayor, because the deputy mayor, I don't know, he got like 19 titles now, Sylvia Acosta. You know, he's everything. The people elected Mayor Roque. I didn't. I never voted for the mayor. But the people voted Mayor Roque the mayor, not Sylvia Acosta, that come in here and undermine the Board of Education. We should stand as one for kids, and the future of West New York are the kids. You guys do this every meeting. Now, what is the procedure, Mayor, to get a vice president of the Board of Education? Besides, when I win, I get on the board. And my running mate, Anna.
Mr. Franchetta has to send a letter to the county superintendent as the board secretary, advising her that there was a tie vote at the last board meeting, after 2 votes, a tie vote at this board meeting, and by statute to select a board vice president. She may or may not do that. It's at her discretion. She has to review it. I'm assuming she will, because we have another 5 months, 4.5 months left in this cycle of the board.
Well, hopefully by when myself and my running mate get elected for a 2-year term and a 1-year term, things will change. And then with Sarah's help, that will be elected in April, we will have people on the board that really know what's going on and care about the student and the town of West New York. Thank you.
My name is Patrick R. Cullen Jr. I live at 7267th Street. I'm also running for Board of Education. What brings me to this august body is my strong concern over the finance mechanism that our schools are financed. the tax abated properties, most of them on the waterfront, have 30-year tax abatements. And according to H. Matthew Boxer, the state controller of New Jersey, the abated properties pay 0 in school taxes. Yet, by the town's own admission a year ago, they send 80 to 100 students to our schools. Basically, this is welfare for the rich. And at the planning board last night, or 2 nights ago, they approved another development down at Port Imperial, which the developer admitted that they will be applying for a tax abatement. Now, I realize that this board has no input into that, nor does the planning board. The controller, Matthew Boxer, says that the Board of Education needs to be represented in future abatement deals that the town makes with developers. So what I would ask is that the superintendent, the president, and the 2 vice presidential nominees, who there's a problem, I hope you both get involved in this, Dr. Piscatelli and Rita. I hope that you read this report by the State Controller Boxer called A Programmatic Examination of Municipal Tax Abatements. You can find it on the internet. It was written in August of 2010, and you read up on that, and then we try to have a united front for our students, because our students are getting shortchanged in this. And I'd like to introduce my 2-year candidate, Mr. Alice Fuentes. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address them?
Good evening, Joan Palermo, 6600 Boulevard East. I'm also a candidate for the Board of Education. I have a question for Mr. Roth. At the drawing for the ballot positions on December 13th, you stated quite emphatically that the 2-year positions were going to be listed first on the ballot, and the 1-year positions, the slate, was going to be listed underneath that. Also, when the names were drawn, they were given numerical designations. The ballot in its current form is completely different from what was stated, again, quite emphatically at the drawing, and I would like to know why it has changed.
I saw your letter, I'd spoken to Mr. Franchetta about it. What I was doing when I was talking to how the ballot was going to be addressed was that it was going to be addressed horizontally, the names, as opposed to vertically. It was my opinion, and in discussion with Mr. Franchetta, that it would be too confusing if we had a column for a 1-year term this way and a column for a 2-year term this way. So the way I was explaining it is that it was going to be vertical, 2-year term and 1-year term. I was not designating where the 2-year term would be on the ballot, whether it be at the first line or the 2-year term was going to be the second line. I was just advising that we were doing it horizontally versus vertically.
Actually, if I may just interrupt you again.
No, I'm not going to get into a debate. You asked me a question, and I
Okay,
answered it.
go
If
ahead.
you don't like my answer, I'm sorry. And then you know, but that's the answer. That's what I did. Regarding the numbers, there were 5, how many drafts? 6? There were 100 drafts on how it was going to work out. We talked to the printer. We sent it back a couple times. The snow day, I was on the phone with the printer 3 times. I spoke to Mr. Franchetta. We were going back and forth, and it was determined this was the least, the way it's set up right now is the least confusing one. So everybody, the candidates for the 1-year term have 1s before it. The candidates before the 2-year terms have the 2 years before it. We've never had a vote here. So we wanted to try and make it as clear as possible. So usually, well, not usually, but there's a little box in the corner that says designation, 1-year term, blah, 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 designation, 2-year term. Well, people aren't going to read that little box. We wanted to try and make it a little clearer, so all the 1-year terms have 1, all the 2-year terms have 2, but then you have to designate columns. We designated the columns A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, well, then it'll P, or I think it's up to P. So that's why we did what we did.
Once again, you did quite emphatically say that the two-year position would be on top. I'd also like to point out that this ballot is unlike every single one of these sample ballots for school board members that appear on the Hudson County website. I think they're there to help people. I think vertical columns for separate positions are the clearest way, and I hope that you will consider for the April election to do it in a way that's not going to cause confusion. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board?
Following upon Ms. Palermo's observations, which are very, very good, I must say, addressing the same speaker that she did, are you going to have the one-year positions above the two-year positions? And if so, might people that are voting for candidate 2G, for example, might they want to vote for candidate 1G because one is right below the other person?
There's no G. There's only one G. It goes 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, all the way to the 9 for the one-year term.
Right.
Underneath that is
Right.
another row.
Okay.
And then that column
Right.
will be 2J, I think.
Okay, my bad, my
So
bad.
that's why, exactly why you asked that. This is why we tried to keep it separate.
Okay, so what does the 2 year starts at what, I or J?
J.
All right,
Okay.
then, what?
Yeah, I think we go to P.
Okay, then it's possible that the 1G, if you have the 1 year on top of the 2 year, the 1G is going to be right on top of the 2P, if I did it correctly. Though they might not necessarily be running together, so who's ever voting for 1G, 2P might get votes because, oh, I want to vote for 1G. There should be some daylight there, right? I would think there should be some daylight there, some separation.
Well, the ballots are already being put in. I mean, just so everyone's aware, there were very finite deadlines for getting this done. We don't control the printing of the ballot. That's done by the printer in conjunction with the county. They have to get out the emergency ballots. They got to get out the mail-ins. So that's the deal. So I mean, we did everything we could to try to get it done with as least confusion as possible.
In a nightmare scenario, I've already done the visualizations. One of the mayor's candidates is a 2 year candidate. He dovetails right onto mine. I'm a 1 year candidate. So people that are voting for me might think, oh, well, he's right next to me, I got to vote for him. I don't want him to get any of my votes.
Well, they won't get any of your votes if you're running for a 1 year term. He's running for.
But they know they have to vote for one year and 1 2 year.
Yes.
So he might get some of my votes because people that know me might not know my candidate, my teammate.
There are no, just so you're aware, and everybody here, there are no slates in Board of Education elections. There are no slates. You can try and run together, but you don't, unlike the commission form where you vote for, you can vote for your slate. We don't do that here. So you could be, if people want to put a slate together, you could be for a 3 year term. Let's say in April we're going to have a 3 year term. You might be running on a group that's number 1, number 6, number 8. That's just the way it works.
Okay, I'm sure you're old enough to remember Gore versus Bush in 2000, the butterfly ballots. The way they were configured, some people that were voting, thought they were voting for Gore were voting for Bush, and vice versa on that. We don't want to have any obfuscation of the vote, of the ballot. We want to have it crystal clear for people to vote. That's why, again, I say to you, if you have the 1 year terms horizontally on the top, followed by the 2 year terms, whether you start from Alpha to Golf, and then Hotel to X-ray, or whatever you want to call it, if you have them 1 year on top, 2 year below, then the mayor's candidate will get some votes simply from people that don't know my candidate, Al Fuentes. And it's going to, other things, weird scenarios are going to occur for the same reason.
Sir, thank you so much for your comment, but you're over the 3 minutes.
Oh,
so
okay.
Thank you.
I apologize. I hope that you're going to take my comments to heart. Thank you.
Francisco Ferrero, 5206 Burger Lane County, West New Jersey. I've touched base earlier today with Mr. Franchetta, so I know the answer to this. But I want to let the public know, and maybe the rest of the board members that don't know, regarding a situation that I brought up last meeting, which is regarding statute NJSA 18A:12-2, which states a board member cannot be the mayor of the town or part of the governing body. That's exactly what the statute states. That's word for word. Nowhere in there does it say elected. I brought this point up because Mr. Silvio Costa is the deputy mayor of West New York. And being the deputy mayor of West New York, I take that as part of the governing body. So I asked the board to dismiss Mr. Acosta from being a board member, and they said they were going to do some homework into this. And Madam President, could you give us the results if anything was done regarding this?
We've looked into this, and while the statute, I'm trying to pull up the actual language of the statute, the interpretation of the statute does not include that individual, so they're able to run for the position.
Well, the interpretation, the way you're interpreting it, you're saying that he's not an elected official, correct?
The interpretation based on everything that has come out from the School Ethics Commission is what we're using to say that this individual is still qualified to be a board applicant.
Okay, have you looked at any of the cases that happened in the past regarding this? He is the deputy mayor. That makes him part of the governing body.
They have to, the actual language in here, of the statute says that they have to be a member of the governing body.
Deputy mayor is a member of the governing body.
Not in the interpretation that has come down.
And not in whose interpretation? It does not say elected anywhere in that wording.
Again, sir, I'm going to tell you that the research that we have done through the School Ethics Commission and any interpretations of this statute has said that this individual is qualified.
Okay, I have also done research, and I am also pulling in a complaint with the ethics and the ethics committee with grievances. Now, they have told me that he can be removed. They're sending me the paperwork, and I will be sending them that paperwork back, and the complaint will be put in. And they are telling me that at the least this will go to court. So with that said, that this issue is going to go to court on whether Mr. Acosta should be a board member or not, do you think the rest of the board members, do you think it might be a better idea to have Mr. Acosta abstain from the next few meetings until this is cleared up? Because if he's an active board member and then you find out that he shouldn't have been, many things have to be redone and many of his votes may have to be turned back. So wouldn't it be wiser and less legal fees to have him stay out a few meetings until we find out these legalities?
Madam President?
Board members?
The board doesn't have the ability, Mr. Farrar, to remove a board member. That's number one. The board does not have that ability. You can't censure somebody. The board can't do any of that. Only the School Ethics Commission or a court of law can remove a seated board member. This issue, the issue of the conflict of whether or not a person can be seated and what happens with their vote, has already been litigated 2.5 years ago with another board member. And it was determined by the Commissioner of Education that the votes that they voted on, even though it was a determination they were not permitted to sit. I don't know if you remember those two cases that went to the Commissioner. But the Commissioners, removed the 2 board members as not being put on properly. The Commissioner also made a determination that the votes that they took would stand. So, just so you know what the Commissioner has determined in cases with this board as recently as, I don't know, 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, when those cases went to the Office of Administrative Law, like you said. In terms of filing an ethics complaint, it's your right to do that. Any member of the body, any member of the public, or any member of this body could submit an ethics complaint about someone. It would be on that individual board member if the ethics complaint is filed and what they want to do.
that's being taken care of, and I am following, I am taking that approach. Other quick question, will we, the public, have a chance to speak after all the candidates are interviewed, or is this our only chance to speak?
You will be afforded another opportunity.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
will after the interviews?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Okay, seeing no one else, we'll continue on with the meeting. At this point, before we recess to executive session, I'll ask the board if they have any questions regarding the items that are on the agenda, regarding business and finance, curriculum, operations, or special services before we recess. Are there any questions by any board members? Seeing none, the public portion of the meeting is now concluded. The board will now recess into executive session to discuss items which fall within an exception of our public open meetings policy and permits the board to have private discussions as it deals with specific exceptions contained in New Jersey statutes annotated 10:4-12B. This evening, the board will be discussing to adjourn executive session. I guess our first part of executive session, and may I have a second? President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Alam?
Yes.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Gassidui?
Yes.
And Trustee Dr. Piscatelli?
Yes.
Okay. As to the agenda this evening, there's only one item that will be removed from the consent agenda. It's item number 6.32, the new hire of a non-certificated staff member. All the other items on the agenda will remain on the consent agenda. Therefore, all matters hereunder are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. Any board member may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration. Any items removed from the consent agenda will be discussed upon and acted upon separately, immediately following consideration of the remaining items on the consent agenda. A motion or second is not required to remove an item from the consent agenda. All resolutions acted upon at this meeting will be available to be viewed this evening, and copies can be obtained by contacting the school board secretary's office. Are there any questions by any board members before we vote on any of the items on the agenda, excluding number 6.32? Okay, seeing no questions, may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Second. President Reyes?
Yes.
Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Alam? Trustee Duval? Trustee Gassidui?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Piscatelli?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, we'll vote on item number 6.32, the new hire of non-certificated staff. Any questions on that by any board members? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Motion.
May I have a second? President Reyes? Trustee Acosta?
Yes.
Trustee Alam? Trustee Duval? Trustee Gassidui?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Piscatelli?
Yes.
The motion passes. Okay. We're at the point in the agenda now where we'll be interviewing the candidates to fill the vacancy seat on the board. And the first few items I'd like to I'll explain what we'll be doing this evening. Each person will be invited up one at a time, and please approach the microphone. You'll have 5 minutes to answer the questions that you provided. There were 3 questions that each candidate was provided, and you'll have 3 minutes. I will not prompt you and say a question. I'll read the questions now for the public, but I will not prompt you with each question and wait for your answer. You have 5 minutes. Please answer the 3 questions within the 5-minute window, and also tell the board about yourself and anything else that you'd like to tell the board, inform the board. The board has decided also to add 1 additional question, and I'll go over that, and I'll repeat it a couple times, so that way the candidates, let me do that one first, so that the candidates have some time to think about that. And I will be calling the candidates alphabetically, so the person whose first name starts with an A or something, you want to listen real close, because you're going to be first on this one. But it'll be the 3 questions. The question that the board is appending to the 3 questions is, what will you do to encourage parent participation in the school district? So I'll repeat the question again. What will you do to encourage parent participation in the school district? Okay, for the public, the other 3 questions that the candidates were provided was, why did you choose to apply for the vacant position on the West New York Board of Education, was question number 1. Question number 2, what qualities/experience would you bring to the West New York Board of Education? Question number 3, what do you think is the #1 priority that the West New York Board of Education is facing? And then the additional question that the board added this evening is, what will you do to encourage parent participation in the school district? Each candidate will be afforded 5 minutes to answer those questions. As I mentioned, I will not be prompting them. Each question, please respond to each question within your 5-minute window. I would ask that the public please be courteous to the people that are speaking and do not interrupt them during their presentation to the board. With all that said, are there any questions by any board members regarding the process?
I would like to say good luck to everyone.
Seeing none, we'll call the first person up, and please excuse me when I probably pronounce your name wrong. Your name's wrong. Cesar Aguera.
Good evening, board. My name is Cesar Aguirre. I'm 24 years old and a recent Rutgers graduate. I chose to apply for the position not because I can make an impact within these 3 months, but to learn about the role as a school board member. I plan on being part of this future of West New York, and this 3 months will be an invaluable experience. I want to share my views and my ideas with the current board, the administration, and the superintendent of West New York to bring diverse thinking to the leadership of West New York Public Schools. It is, in my opinion, and of many others, that the board of education can use an injection of youth for someone who has recently graduated from Memorial about 5 years ago. Having been a mentor for big brothers and big sisters, I work with disadvantaged youths. I've learned through this experience last year that mentoring a kid has an impact on the kid because you're molding young minds. You're helping them make the right decision to stay in school, stay the course, engage in sports, have good friends. I also learned a positive example from my community. In addition, I've also volunteered at my church in Union City, and I've gone to a missionary trip in summer of 2010. The biggest problem the board faces, I personally think, is preparing the pupils at our school once they enter the real world. The real world can be very scary. Most kids are probably not prepared, and I believe that the future of this town is the children, and our future is directly intertwined with the kids of this town, because eventually these kids will go to college, come back, they'll probably be on this board eventually, they'll probably run for mayor or what have be. I know the 4th question you asked was, what can I do to increase parental participation with although, like I said, it's a 3-month position, it's about 90 days, and probably most goals are a little probably far-fetched to implement all this stuff, but I believe what I can do within these 3 months is to increase parent participation is, get parents to be involved in more fundraisers with the kids, for whether their senior trip, for their school trip, for their 10-year reunion, perhaps maybe a car wash in West New York. I know I've seen Union City do this, and the Bergen car washes. I've seen other towns do Alex lemonade stands, to raise money for maybe a kid in this town who has cancer or some kind of terminal disease. So, by maybe increasing more fundraising opportunities, we can increase parental participation at these meetings, because as you can see, it's kind of empty in here. And I'm sure the PTO probably doesn't have any more meetings anymore, so I think that's a way that we can increase parental participation by having more opportunities for them to talk and for them to have fundraisers so they don't have to pay out of their own pocket for these trips, or whether it's prom or end of the year trips. Thank you very much, and I think I'm one of the best candidates for this position. Thank you.
The next person is Joe Campos Alvis. Please accept my apologies when I mispronounce your names.
Hello everyone, and if I could maybe move this and address the audience and also address you tonight. My name is Joel Campos Alvis. All of you, this is the first time you might have seen me here because I'm just getting involved in the educational process. So to your first question, why would you choose to apply? It's really personal, I think, the issue in my case. I have a son who's about, sorry.
Can you address the board, sir? The president will to face the board.
Oh, sure, but,
Thank you.
okay, that's fine. I just hate to give my back to people, but that's fine.
I can appreciate that.
That's fine. So the first question is really personal, is my answer. I have a son who is about to go to school, and I face simply the option of moving out of West New York so that he can get a good education, or stay. And I chose to stay and make a change and impact on my community. And it's also personal in the sense that myself, I grew up in a town just like West New York, where most kids don't have a quality education. So I was, for many years, part of the system. But fundamentally, I think, is because I'm 36, I have 3 kids, my wife is a professor, and I've been blessed in life. I have a great job, and I think it's time for me to give back to my town. Your second question is, what qualities and experience will you bring to West New York Board of Education? I share with you a copy of my resume, but I don't think people here know about me much, or anything at all. At the educational level, I have a degree in economics, cum laude, actually a quadruple major. Then I went into pursuing a master's degree in public policy at one of America's elite universities, Carnegie Mellon, in Pittsburgh. Then I went into pursue another master's degree at MIT in city planning. And then finally, in 2012, I completed an executive program at Columbia University School of Business. At the professional level, I have a terrific experience, and I think my skills are transferable to what you need. I work at the Fed, Federal Reserve Bank of New York, America's central bank. Before that, I was at JP Morgan in private banking, and before that, investment banking, and also the Department of Energy. So as you can see, I have private sector experience as well as public sector experience. So I know what it means to muddle through the system. What else? And also at the community level, in August, I just joined the Washington Office on Latin American Affairs. That is the most prominent think tank in Washington, D.C. on Latin American issues. So, in essence, I think what I can give you is what you need. I guess in essence, we need a board that can define where we are, where we want to be, and how we're going to get there. Your third question, what do you think is the number one priority that the West New York Board of Education is facing? Frankly, I'm a part of the West New York Board of Education, so I cannot give you a candid assessment as to who you are and how you deal internally. However, what I do know is that high-achieving school districts have an effective board. In other words, what I'm telling you is that low-achieving schools, such as the West New York, do not have an effective board. Data is conclusive on that issue. Then the question then becomes, what does effective board mean? Agreed, right? Then, it's simply a board that can have high expectation for students. Will you please tell me the time? Am I over my 5 minutes?
I'll let you know when 4 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So a board that has high expectations, right, for student achievement. A board who is able to see problems as challenges, not as excuses. Parental education, poverty rates. Yes, those are issues we have to overcome, right? But those should not be excuses.
1 minute remaining.
Thank you. So I'm going to move to your fourth question. But actually, let me say one more, I think, what an effective board means. A board has to be accountable, right, and transparent. With no accountability, there is pretty much nowhere we can go. Right? People will not trust us, sorry, you, or us if I'm chosen. And your fourth question, what will you do to engage parents? As I just said before, parental involvement, poverty rate shouldn't be seen as an excuse, but as a challenge. So having said that, I guess the question number one is to ask parents to be involved. Right? We can start with that. And second as well is to make parents feel part of the team. But frankly, that question I think is more at the execution level, more to the superintendent than to the board. Because I fundamentally believe that the board must lead, must provide a strategy and a vision, and not manage. There is a difference between managing and leading, and what this town needs is a board that can lead. Thank you so much for your time.
Garcia.
Good evening. My name is Julio Garcia. First, I would like to thank the board members for allowing me to express my interest in becoming a board trustee. I have been a resident in West New York for 19 years. During those years, I had the honor of attending the West New York public education system. I also had the honor of having many of the current staff as my teachers, among them Mr. John Fauta. I'm a father of a 2-year-old girl and a property owner in West New York. I currently work at the West New York Housing Authority as the Assistant Director. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in Business Administration, and I'm currently working on my Master's in Criminal Justice. I also hold a Project Management certification from Rutgers, New Jersey. I chose to apply for the board member position because my child will soon be attending the West New York school system, and I want to make sure that not only my daughter, but all the kids in West New York receive the best possible education. And part of that is achieved by the decisions taken by this board. I also want to make sure that not only my property tax is being well spent, but every taxpayer's money is also being well spent on our children's education. I will bring to the board the experience of having sat in a classroom and the experience of being a former student in the West New York public schools. I attended public schools 2, 3, 5, and eventually graduated from Memorial High School. Being a former student will help me understand the needs of our kids. I also played 4 years varsity sports in high school. This helps me understand the importance of having after-school programs for our children. In addition, I bring an extensive experience in the financial background, since I work in the banking industry for 8 years. This will allow me to make the right decisions on where we should or shouldn't spend the money on our kids' education. The number one priority the Board of Education is facing, I believe, is able to keep the parents involved with their children's education so that the students can perform to the highest academic level. Parents involved will help students stay away from drugs and gangs and will allow them to succeed in life. To encourage parent participation, we can work together to hold more open houses at schools at different times of the day and throughout the year so that parents can have the flexibility to meet the teachers. If chosen as a board trustee, I will work hard to make sure that the decisions taken by this board benefits our children's education. Once again, thank you. Have a great evening.
Our next candidate is Patricia Lopez de la Rosa.
Hello, good evening. My name is Patricia Lopez de Rosario. I have chosen to apply for the vacant position of West New York Board of Education in order to move my community into a positive direction. I currently attend Hudson Community College and aspire to obtain my associates in business management. I will be transferring over to NJCU to continue my education in that field thereafter. I have been a resident of West New York all of my life, and I've been a student in the West New York public school system. On November 5th, 2013, due to hard work and volunteerism, we were able to deliver real change for West New York in form of an elected school board. I lost a lot of beauty sleep walking the streets late at night, putting up flyers and attending meetings just to see this happen. As an elected school board is not a real change for West New York, though, it's just a means to it. Being a member of the Board of Education, while for only a short time, will help me understand and explain my community how to bring change so many people are looking for. I see the cracks in our school system. I see it. We built a strong foundation as a house. You can't build without a strong foundation. You can't build on top of it. Every brick that is being laid has to be every brick that's being laid is a subject that we try to implicate on our kids. As long as they have the right opportunities to be able to learn and comprehend and retain all the materials, they could all have a successful future. The number one priority of the West New York Board of Education should be making kids prepared for a higher education. The fact that I completed my entire grammar school education, my entire grammar school and my high school education in public school gives me the first-hand experience to help the children and to help the parents. Also, to help parents become more involved, I would establish mandatory after-school programs. Not all little kids have their own sanctuary at home. They're not the only sibling. They might be taking up other responsibilities at school. School may not be their first priority. So I would implicate Saturday activities to help parents, also educate parents to help the children and the increasing with technology, also the knowledge on how to help different study ethics that we've been trying to help the kids with. Any kids with any diseases or any special needs, educate the parents. We help educate the parents to educate their children, especially at home. Since they're being educated at school, we need that education to keep going at the home. Thank you.
Next candidate is Lorraine Morel. Is Ms. Morel here this evening? Lorraine Morel. We'll move on. Our next one is Humberto Ortega.
Good evening, can you hear me okay?
This is
Yes, thank you.
Humberto Ortega.
Yes. Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity to appear before this board. Why did I choose to apply for the vacant position? Number one, I love this town, and I believe that I can make a significant contribution to improving the education and opportunities for our students. As you guys are no doubt aware, our school system is the largest single consumer of resources in the town. Okay? I believe I can bring ideas and suggestions for getting more bang for our school buck. You have to do this. The town is hard-pressed for funds and in sore need of the avid state-funded dollars. And the town must demonstrate even more sound fiscal responsibility to the state higher-ups. There's always a danger that we will get money. Do you want to risk losing even $1 out of the $93 million that we get out of the state? I got the $93 million out of the Polish budget in the website. I'm confident that the background and skills that I bring will significantly contribute to the board's work, and there'll be more on that later. And finally, because I'm a team player, okay, I can work with, and I have worked with, individuals of different backgrounds and come up with various political leanings. Just as my former colleagues, and I'll be glad to provide references, in the corporate world as well as current associates in town. Now, what experience do I bring? Number one, I've been a resident of West New York for over 43 years. I moved here Memorial Day 1970. You do the math. I was born and raised in Cuba. I came to the U.S. in September 1960 to begin my college education. I finished Cuba's 5-year college prep high school curriculum, the Bachillerato de Giorno, in July 1960. I hold a bachelor's and a master's science degrees in industrial engineering from Georgia Tech. I received my bachelor's degree with highest honors in 1964. My master's degrees in 1968, after a brief hiatus when I worked for DuPont to learn what the industrial world is all about. I completed, while doing my master's, I actually completed all the requirements for the doctorate. But then I realized that doing academic research was not my cup of tea. By the way, I do bring some background as an educator, since I taught undergraduates when I was a graduate assistant myself at Georgia Tech. I joined Humboldt Oil and Refining Company, which later became Exxon USA, in January of 1968 at the Bayway Refinery in Linden. I was transferred to Exxon Engineering in Florham Park, New Jersey, from which I retired in 2000. So that was over 32 years working for the same corporation. Try to find out how many people do that these days. All my career at Exxon was spent in the IT field. Okay? I worked on numerous kinds of systems, from technical computing to control systems to total plant information systems. I've led teams that replace vintage systems from the late 60s to newer generations in the 80s and 90s. I have installed and supported even newer generations of information systems using technologies used by the entire world today, the personal computers and local area networks that the board uses today. Look at all the computers sitting in front of me. And my team player certainly paid off for me, as I work with and made friends with colleagues with different backgrounds and agendas from all over the world. You have no idea of the degree of satisfaction that I derive from these opportunities. Now, since retirement, I have devoted my time to volunteering. I have worked with a number of community not-for-profit organizations. I've been an instructor for a GED program in a major community service organization in New York.
1 minute remaining.
1 minute? I served for 7 years on the board of directors of Riviera Towers Corporation. That's a $7 million budget organization. And I have also become very active in town affairs. Regular attendee to zoning, planning, and commissioner board meeting. Been appointed to a rent control board. Summarize: a college educated professional, a proven track record in the corporate world, and as well as a volunteer. I'm a workaholic that doesn't quit. What do I think is the number one priority that the West New York Board of Education is facing? Very simple. You need to deliver on the mandate from the New Jersey Department of Education review of April 2015. Particularly when the mayor was singled out for exerting major influence in the hiring practices of the school district, and with members of the board like Mr. Acosta at least continue to have a close association with the mayor, you have a challenge in delivering on that report, the documentation.
Please conclude.
Okay, if you'll allow me to answer the final question. What would I do to encourage parent participation in the school system? They have to be encouraged to...
Sir, we're very sorry, but we're going to have to keep everyone to 5 minutes so that it's fair for everyone.
Okay, not a problem.
I'm sorry.
Next candidate is Adam Parkinson.
My name is Adam Parkinson. Let me begin. Currently, this board has a lot of different roles, a lot of different opinions. We have the perspective of the educator, the perspective of the parents, the perspective of the concerned citizens of the town. But the perspective we're lacking is the perspective of the student, and that's exactly why I chose to apply for this position. I think when we look at an issue, we need to look at it from as many different perspectives as possible to make a well-thoughtful decision. And being a valedictorian from Memorial High School's class of 2013, and being a very proud product of the West New York School District, I think I could fill that missing role. In response to your second question about experience, I've worked with students from all 6 elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school since 2011. In addition to the students from West New York, I've worked with students from North Bergen, Union City, Jersey City, and Weehawken. I'm very passionate about education. At the high school level, I served as a student representative, having been a class president, and I represented our school district in sports, the fine arts, and academic organizations. Currently, I am a student at St. Peter's University studying elementary education and history with certification in middle school mathematics. I have knowledge of the Common Core standards, and I also have knowledge of the new park assessment testing. So combining all of that, that makes me, I feel, experienced for this position. In response to your third question about, what was the third question?
What do you think is the number one priority?
Now and forever, the number one priority has to be our students. Today we look and we say, how can we prepare our students for the 21st century real world? In West New York, we're lucky enough to have a minority being our majority. Our Hispanic influence really makes us diverse, and it makes our town rich in culture. And being someone who comes from a Hispanic background and someone who comes from a single-parent household, I really understand the difficulties of the average student in West New York. And nonetheless, we have to keep focus on education and the students, not politics. We can't focus on the politics. And if we do that, our school district will continue to succeed. In response to the fourth question about parent involvement, I worked with the Organization of Parents and Faculty in Memorial High School, and I also worked I was a member of the National Honor Society in the high school. And we volunteered a lot in the school. I translated at parents' nights from different schools in the district, the elementary schools, the high school, and I really think it's important to have the board members and people in the administration come to support productions and sporting events, everything in West New York. And in conclusion, I'd just like to thank the Board of Education for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Next candidate is William Parkinson.
Hi, I'm Bill Parkinson. These are some tough acts to follow education-wise. I was a high school graduate, and I had 3 years in college. But I'm a lifelong resident of West New York, 58 years. Never known any other town. And anybody who has taken the time to get to know me know I bleed orange and black. I remember every teacher I had from PS1 to Memorial. I applied for this position because in 2004, I started a petition, just like Frank did, for an elected board. I needed 1,600 signatures. I got those, turned down. We still put the question up, but it didn't succeed. I felt the reason why I did that was because we are very antiquated in this town, letting a mayor decide who sits up down in their seats. We can't do that. And to succeed, this is an excellent opportunity right now. We've hit history to see all these candidates going up to want a seat on the board because they care about the kids, not the politics. I had many influences in my life in the West New York education system, but 3 people in the West New York education system who really are dear to me, who influenced me in my life. Number 1 is the president English teacher, John Mahler. And he pushes and challenges the students to follow their dreams. He's a musician, he's an actor, and he's a great English teacher. And he lets the students use their own minds, which we should be having up here instead of just following them. My next influence in my life was Dennis DeSocio. PS1, I went back in '67, a real long time, and we didn't have male grade teachers. There was no such thing. They were all female teachers. And in 67th and 6th grade, we had 2 male teachers who decided to start teaching in West New York, 1967. Artie Taub and Dennis DeSocio. Dennis became my football and baseball coach in high school, and to this day, we sit at games, we watch the Memorial games, and he's been, I am in awe of his knowledge of life as well as football. He was a great educator. Lastly, a big reason why I want to be a member of this board is to sit in the seat of Adrienne Sears. Adrienne was my freshman year, her first year teaching in '69. She was my English teacher, even though she was a noted French teacher. Her dedication throughout the years in West New York education as well as the other two, led our school system to be a very successful system in this town. And that's, as a board of trustee, that's what I strive for. My qualities and experience, I coached in this town since I was 18. I was a manager of a 13-year-old state championship team. I coached football at various times in my life, Pop Warner 11 and 12, and freshman football at Memorial in 87 and 90. I also umpire high school baseball, which I haven't done for about the last 10 years due to my work commitments. But I umpired since 1977 high school baseball. So working with and coaching the youth throughout the years in this town is experience that is priceless.
1 minute remaining.
Watching them grow to become men, some working alongside the post, I work alongside the post office. They become firemen, policemen, teachers, as well as coaches in the community. When a 40-year-old man comes up to you and says, "Hi, coach," there's nothing more fulfilling than that. The number one priority of this board is to push for our youth to continue to strive for the betterment of our community through education. Sometimes we forget what education is all about. We shouldn't have the pressures of politics in our school system. Give educators the freedom to do what's best, teach our students, be rewarded for their excellence on merit and merit alone. Sounds like a Pollyanna situation, but now with an elected board, we can take advantage of that. With parent participation, we got to strive better to communicate with the parents. PTA meetings with board members going to those PTA meetings instead of just sitting there.
Please wrap up your speech.
Okay, in essence, I love this town, and that's why I want to become a member of this board.
For the board members, the ninth candidate, Kimberly Perez, has withdrawn her candidacy. So please remove that name from your list. She sent me a letter withdrawing her candidacy for the board. Therefore, our next candidate is the 10th one, is Benjamin Rabu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I composed the little writing I'm going to do addressing the 3 questions, and then I'll address the 4th question after that. My name is Benjamin Robiu. I have been a resident of West New York all of my life. I attended PS number 1 school from kindergarten until 8th grade. Also, I attended Memorial High School my freshman year, later completing my high school studies at St. Joseph. I am an EMT in North Bergen and have been working as one since 2007. I am currently pursuing a double major in philosophy and economics from NJCU, where I am a senior. And the reason I have chosen to apply for the vacant position of the West New York Board of Education is my interest in public education for our community. On November 5th, when our community chose to have an elected school board, as a lifelong resident of West New York, I would like to see the desires of the community be met. The fact that I have experienced all levels of the public school system of West New York is an experience that I believe could truly contribute to the board. After all, this experience would give the board a perspective that they should hold dearly, which is the perspective of our students. And I know a lot of other candidates have that perspective. So I hope if you do pick a candidate, it's one of them. Furthermore, my undergraduate studies of philosophy have developed a clear understanding of ethical behavior and morality, something that I think is necessary for every board member. As well, I have benefited from my economic studies, as I have acquired knowledge in collective bargaining, as well as overseeing budgets and adoptions of policies, all of which are responsibilities that pertain to board members. Being on an ambulance for the past 6 years, I have had to work with multiple individuals cooperating to make significant decisions. I know how to work in a team and a group environment, and I would understand that the decisions of the board are made in unison, not individually. I would bring the board a member who wants to be part of a team, cooperating to improve overall student achievement, the level of skills our students have once they graduate from high school, as well as fairly and deservingly compensating employees of the board. Lastly, I believe the #1 priority that the West New York Board of Education is facing is the need to steer our students in a better direction. Being once a student of this very school system myself, I can attest that there's a significant need to get our students more involved with a real-world education, and at the same time provide the teachers the resources as well as compensation necessary to reach the objectives given by the board. In my school, my international business professor did not use textbooks. We used the Wall Street Journal to cover all our lessons, and I think that's something that would save us money and would be a good experience for the students. Also, no matter who your choice is today, also choose to come to conformity with the demands of parents and students of this community, and understand that the choices this board makes will affect the products of this town, our students, for the rest of their lives. And to address your final question about the parents, I think the best way to get parents involved would be by letting them know. There's no parents here today because they didn't know about this. Send out messages. If I was on the board, I would make sure every parent knew about this. If you want to get parents involved, excuse me. If you want to get parents involved, it's all common sense. You just need to let them know. You guys are well aware that you keep parents under everything and you don't let parents know anything. So if you let parents know, they'll be here. Thank you.
The next candidate is Iris Rodriguez.
Michael Valencia.
My name is Iris Rodriguez. I resigned at 4:25 and I chose to apply for the vacant position on the West End Board of Education because I know how urgent major changes are needed with the education of West End. I've been living here for about 11 years and attended school here. I know firsthand how awful our schools are. To put it lightly, if a foreign country were operating West End public schools, people would be calling for war. Too many children are victims of our schools, and those who have succeeded regardless have done so in spite of the terrible situation. Soon my son will be attending Western Public School, and I will do everything in my power as a board member to make sure that not just him, but every student has first-class education. I may not have the experience with Optimum for the school board, but I do have an experience most on this board do not have. As a recent student in Western Public Schools, I know the issues and problems so many teenagers are facing right now. From drug abuse and broken homes to peers and public pressure on young girls to turn themselves into sex objects instead of empower women. I know these issues and many others and can work on these problems in many ways. You simply cannot. In addition, like I said, the most important quality I bring is the sense of urgency to fix as many problems as I can. I can't wait for the problems of Western Public Schools to be fixed until my son has already graduated high school, or worse, drop out like so many of my peers at Memorial and never reach his true potential. The third question, the number one priority in the Western Board of Education is facing insufficient focus on the early childhood development. We need to focus hard and expanding pre-K and Head Start programs to make sure every kid in West End has the same tools to succeed as our more wealthy counterparts in the suburbs. Educational problems can be fixed at an early age with most children, but if we do not address it, they will not only become worse as those children will not be receiving the help they desperately need to grow older. And for the last question, I feel as though that for us to get the parents in, to be more involved, we should send emails, send them letters in the mail, because obviously sending letters with the kids to send home, they're not going to receive it. Most kids forget it, most kids throw it out, they think it's not important, so I think you guys should more reach out and like emails, sending mails to the house, and they'll receive it firsthand. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Michael Valencia.
are you?
I'm gonna follow Benjamin's speech, like the order they went. Hi, my name is Mike Valencia. I'm from West New York, New Jersey. I've lived in 6608 Polk Street for 20 plus years and went to West New York School my whole life. I'm currently studying business administration at NBCU. The reason I want to be a school board member is because it's something that I was believed in since the beginning. For a year now, I'm one of the people that actually went out, collected signatures, and put flyers out for the elected school board without getting paid. I really thought it was the right thing to do because all of the corruption going on in the board. As a kid, I played every sport, and now I even see there's no recreation to give kids lunch in the summer. I really feel that we must put the right people on the Board of Education to make things better, not worse. To me, that means someone with no political ties, someone who is genuinely a good person, and someone who actually cares about the kids and nothing else. I think we need someone that can't be influenced by politicians. Nobody on this board should be scared of speaking up for what they believe in, and everyone should have the best interest of the West New York kids' education. I know that I'm a young adult and maybe not as qualified as the other candidates, but nonetheless I'm still a viable candidate. I know this because this change happened through the youth. People like me, and honestly without us, this change wouldn't even have been possible. I think people like me who actually let their actions speak for them and got this stuff done are the people we need. To me personally, if there's someone more qualified with innovative ideas that is going to do something great for our youth, then that's the person we need on this board. Any last question? I think the best way to get parents involved is to not keep these meetings so secretive and actually make them public so parents will be more aware of the board meetings. Only then will parents actually start to become more involved in the educational system and see why we are a bottom tier school district. Thank you.
One final call for Lorraine Morrell. Is Ms. Morrell present tonight? Okay, seeing that concludes
At the beginning, I was
the candidates that were killed originally, and 10 appeared this evening for the board's consideration. So at this time, the board will reset.
I'm sorry, you said you were going to let the public speak before that happened. That's the question I asked, and that's what you responded.
All right, we'll open the floor for public comment at this time.
Thank you for keeping your word.
Frank, hold on one second, I just want to open with the Dr. Moore. Go ahead, thanks.
Okay, I want to bring up a real important point here. Being involved for the last year, keeping a watchful eye of all the wrongdoings of the mayor of this town and his right-hand man, Silvio Costa. We always know they have a plan, a shenanigan of some sort. In this instance, Mr. Julio Garcia, that sits right here, candidate, is Silvio's right-hand man. This is the candidate that I'm pretty positive Silvio has asked his board members that he controls to vote for. But I will tell you that Mr. Julio Garcia has pending assault charges on him due to a fight with myself. I had an altercation with a DPW worker. We were waiting for the police to come. Mr. Garcia left his post, his job at the Housing Authority, came to Boulevard East where the fight was, and then both of them attempted to try to beat me up. Didn't work out so well, but they definitely tried. Statute 18A-12-1 is very broad. And to be a board member, you can't even have a charge of criminal mischief. If you elect this gentleman that Silvio Costa wants you to elect, in a month or so, he might be found guilty of assault and therefore will not be able to be a board member. I ask you to think about it really hard and go against Mr. Silvio Acosta's opinions. Thank you. If you'd like a copy of 1812-1, I have one right here. It specifies what crimes a person cannot commit to be on the board. And like I said, it's very broad. You got to be a saint. with this statute. I ask the board members to please pick a person that cannot be politically controlled, an educated person. We've had plenty come up. We had some real standouts. I mean, we had a gentleman who attended MIT, for God's sake. Let's pick some educated people and let's start getting this sport on the right track.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board?
Yes, good evening, board. I have a question for one of the candidates.
Name and address.
My name is Jason Aguirre. I live at 6218 Madison Street. I've been a West New York resident 25 years. My question is for one of the candidates, Cesar Aguirre, which is my brother. Can you please tell the board your future education plans?
Sir, I'm really sorry, but
Just say it as a comment. Say it as a comment.
comment,
Well,
but
my
you're not allowed
brother-
to ask questions
I'm
to
sorry,
the
I wasn't aware.
candidates.
My brother plans to study law this fall, and he also graduated with honors in rugby. He doesn't like to brag, but I do brag for him. I know that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can say comment, why not?
Patrick Cohen. In light of the ethics policies that are incorporated in the bylaws of the Board of Education, it may be a conflict of interest for board members that have appointed positions in the town, such as the deputy mayor and anyone else who has an appointed position, to vote for another member who is running for board who has an appointed position in the town. I can think of one, Julio Garcia, who was the assistant to the housing. That may be a conflict of interest. So I'd ask that these people that have town jobs or positions other than the Board of Education, yes, I believe Vilma works for in the town hall, that they should recuse or abstain in this vote. Or definitely not vote for someone who also has a town job. Or the Housing Authority is an agency of the town of West New York. So I would ask the town attorney to make a ruling on that.
It doesn't.
I don't see any conflict of interest, but everybody here is one person and everybody here think. I don't see any conflict.
Well, you have a town job, Madam President, you have a town job.
I do have a town job. I work in the building department. I don't work in the mayor's office. I don't see the mayor because he has his practice 3 or 4 blocks from the 2, 3 or 4 months. I sometimes see the mayor when I can attend the town hall meeting, but that's it. I don't think I have any conflict.
Madam President, did you work in the town hall in any capacity before Mayor Roque was elected?
No.
So wouldn't it be fair to assert that you got your job because of Mayor Roque? I'm sorry, could you please put your mouth to a microphone and make it hear?
This is the last thing that I'm answering you. You can think anything, but it's your right to think anything.
May I direct your attention to the bylaws of the Board of Education? Conflict of interest are prohibited. There is a potential, if not actual, conflict of interest since you owe your job to Mayor Roque. You have the deputy mayor here who is also a trustee of the board. There is no doubt in my mind that some of you are going to vote for a member of the Housing Authority simply because of politics. And even if that's not the case, there is the appearance of that. The appearance of that.
Can you please answer the bylaw?
Sir, based on our readings of the bylaws, we don't see any conflict with that voting scenario. Also, thank you very much for your
No, please, you're not going to cut me off again. What is your name and title, please?
My name is Jenna Rottenberg, and I'm an attorney at Florio Perucci. And thank you very much again for your comment. You were over your
Yes, I do believe I sought counsel. With all respect, Counselor, I did try to get representation from your firm, and you said no because we do did business with the town of West Newark. Not you personally, your firm did.
I'm,
So you're being paid by the town of West Newark to make these decisions. You're not working pro bono for the benefit of the town. You're getting a paycheck for this.
sir,
I would like an unbiased opinion on this, please.
sir, I represent the interests of the Board of Education. I'm advising on what the law is and our interpretation of the law. Thank you for your comment.
I think you're being very unfair, ma'am. Now, how can I appeal this?
Sir,
Appeal. Patrick, what are you trying to appeal? I'm not sure what you're asking to appeal.
That there's blatant violation of the bylaws because there is an apparent or actual conflict of interest to have people that have other positions in the town, salaried positions, that are going to apparently vote for a person, a candidate, Julio Garcia, who is a salaried position, is a housing director, assistant housing director is a salaried position, right? Yes, so that might be a conflict of interest there, because in other words, everyone's getting their bread buttered by the mayor of this town.
Patrick, if I may,
Yes.
Ms. Rumbergson gave the proper legal advice, which is the statute's very clear, the School Ethics Commission opinions, the statute's very clear what a definition of a conflict of interest is. I'm not going to get into an argument or a discussion about conflict of interest, but there is no conflict of interest that I see with the vote, because it doesn't fall under one of the 7, 8 categories that are listed in the school ethics. If you have a concern with anything that the board does, that whether it's ethical or not, you can file, either ask for what's called an advisory opinion from the School Ethics Commission, or you can file a complaint with the School Ethics Commission, and they'll take it up. And they take them, lately they've been taking them up quite quickly. I had one in another place that was filed. I think they took it up in about 3 weeks.
The purpose of a Board of Education is to be interested in the betterment of education and for the students. They should all be disinterested voters here. There should be no aura or specter or suspicion or possibility scenario of having a conflict of interest here. So I think that any board members who votes against their conscience and who votes under this cloud of conflict of interest should bear the full weight of any discipline that the state of New Jersey election law may bear.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the board? Seeing none, the board will now recess to executive session.
See what happens now.
Seats. At this time, I'll entertain nominations for possible candidates. Is there any board member that has a nomination?
Yes, I do. I want to nominate Adam Parkin.
Do I have a second? Second. That's Mr. Costa? I didn't hear who made that.
yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations?
Adam Parkinson.
May I have a second? Trustee Acosta? Yes. Trustee Alam?
Yes.
Trustee Duval? Trustee Gasadui?
Yes.
Trustee Dr. Pizzatelli?
Yes.
President Reyes?
Yes.
Congratulations. after me. I, Adam Parkinson,
I, Adam Parkinson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
and to the governments established in the United States and this state,
under the authority of the people, so help me God.
under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I, Adam Parkinson,
I, Adam Parkinson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of a member of the Board of Education,
for the office of member of a Board of Education,
and that I am not disqualified as a voter
and that I am not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
pursuant to RS 19:4-1,
nor disqualified due to convictions of a crime
nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime
or offense listed in NJSA 18A 12-1,
where or offense listed in NJS 18A:12-1,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform all the duties
and justly perform all the duties
of that office according to the best of my abilities,
and according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Are there any board member comments?
We congratulate you, and we're very happy that you're part of the Board of Education.
Thank you very much to all of you.
Welcome here. Please, fresh. Young people here.
Okay, any, Mr. Fonta?
I'd just like to congratulate you, Adam. We followed your career all through high school, whether it was in the band or in the play. And this is a great day for the West Newark Board of Education. A great day.
Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion for adjournment.
Motion?
We have a
Hey,
second.
I'd like to request for the vice
Second.
president to be at the end of the table.
We have a second, I'm sorry.
Second.
Not for the vice president, that's right.
President Reyes? Trustee Acosta?